More than 1,500 teachers and school staff were accused of mistreating pupils in the UK last year. But the figures obtained for the first time by the BBC reveal less than 1 in 10 were actually sacked. Many of the allegations were judged unfounded or could not be substantiated. This comes as the government's planning to allow teachers in England anonymity against such allegations unless they're charged with an offence by the police. Let's speak to Sharon Libbard, who's a solicitor for the Association of Teachers and Lecturers. Morning, Sharon.
Good morning to you.
And Margaret Morrissey's founder of Parents Out Loud, a campaign group on behalf of parents. Hello, Margaret.
Good morning.
Sharon, what do you make of these figures, first of all?
Well, they support what ATL has been saying for quite some time. Last year we conducted a survey of 1,155 of our members, and a quarter of them said that they had false allegation made against them by a pupil. When a false allegation is made, it normally means that the teacher or member of staff involved can be suspended, often for several months, as it were, until the matter has been sorted out.
And Sharon, is there a uniform policy? Is that suspension uniform for all teachers, or does it vary between schools?
It does vary between schools. ATL is very concerned and very unhappy, actually, that some head teachers actually seem to suspend automatically. Suspension often means you've got to leave the premises. They're often told that they cannot contact colleagues who may be friends, and they're left in limbo, often at home, which compounds their stress and increases their feelings of isolation.
Margaret, I know we introduced you as a founder of a campaign group on behalf of parents, but you must understand that the distressing nature that an allegation like this can cause to an innocent teacher.
Yes, I do, and, you know, there isn't a parent I know in this country who would want a teacher's career ruined for a false allegation. But, you know, I do think we've got to be terribly careful here, because actually the figures don't say that a substantial amount of the claims are false. It's actually very low, those amounts of claims that are false, and I accept it was only quite a small survey, but it was a significant one.
So, Margaret, how would you like an investigation to be investigated? What's the fairest way to investigate an allegation against a teacher which makes sure that child protection remains paramount without punishing the teacher until they've been found guilty?
Well, I mean, obviously, there has got to be an investigation. I would say, yes, parents would agree that teachers should not be suspended, but I do think we've got to be really careful, because if there's an allegation made and something's gone wrong, you know, I really do suspect that something's been going quite wrong in that classroom for a while. It doesn't just spring out of nowhere. So I think we've got to be very careful and very confident as parents that teachers are being well supervised and supported, because if they're struggling with pupils and it's not being picked up and being supported, then it's almost inevitable that we'll end up in this situation.
It's an interesting point, Sharon, that's an interesting point that Margaret makes there, isn't it? One's reminded of the case recently in the East Midlands of the teacher that was involved in the classroom assault, and there were then anecdotal evidence that said that he'd lost control of that class for some time prior to that.
Yes, that's a very sad case indeed, but ATL members, 90% of them, said that they have dealt with disruptive pupils during the past year. I think parents would be quite horrified when they realise how badly some of their children behaved in the class.
But equally, I'm sure your members wouldn't want a system which prohibited children from speaking up about the odd bad apple or two. Child protection has to remain paramount here, doesn't it?
Well, ATL obviously says that child protection must remain paramount, but not at the expense of natural justice. School staff also have rights too, and the sad fact is that false allegation can and sometimes do lead to the end of a career. We're losing too many good members of staff as a result of these false allegations. We call on parents, actually, to be more supportive of teachers and education staff. They should be good role models for staff who are trying to discipline their disruptive children.
OK, thank you both very much for your time this morning. Sharon Libbard, you heard from there, solicitor for the Association of Teachers and Lecturers. And before that, Margaret Morrissey, who's founder of Parents Out Loud, which is a campaign group on behalf of